Thank you, Mariambo, for that report. Of course, the victim there, Sergeant Retired Reverend Stephen Ojwang, being interviewed, highlighting two issues that he observed. One of the questions he's asking is, where was the security? Where was the security? And of course, he also brings out the aspect of when the bad elements strike, the guard goes up, but after some time, it's dropped. Let me bring in Peter Cheboi, Daktari, who is a security and policy analyst from the National Counter-Terrorism Center. And you have listened to that clip.
Absolutely.
But what I would like you to start us off with, for those who perhaps did not live through this dark period, how would you describe to them the significance of that attack in our history as a nation?
Thank you so much, Tom. Before I go to that, I would like to introduce myself and what I do. So my name is Dr. Peter Cheboi, specialist in security and policy, as a security and policy analyst. I work at NCTC, that is National Counter-Terrorism Center, and our main role is coordination of all CT, that is counter-terrorism, and countering violent extremism efforts in this country. And by coordination, it means that we bring in all the players in the security sector and rallying all Kenyans and the whole of society to come to terms that this is a threat, an existential threat that requires concerted efforts by each and every person, including media and other players in our society. Other than coordination, we also play a significant role when it comes to what we call prevention and countering violent extremism. And in prevention and countering violent extremism, we mean that we wanted to win the hearts and minds of people. So in relation to what you have said, first and foremost, after that introduction, I'd wish to express our empathy and also sympathies to those who lost their lives.
And those who were injured also.
Those who are injured, and even the families of victims. Because when it comes to victimhood, there are so many victims in different levels. We have the real victims up to the sixth victims who are in one way or another affected. So in that attack, more than 224 people lost their lives. Our sympathies goes to their families. More than 4,500 people were injured. We honor them because of the resilience that they've gone through up to this particular juncture, that we are marking the 25 years since that attack on 7th August 1998.
When you look back
Yes.
to that dark day, do you think that we are now better prepared for similar attacks, God forbid?
Thank you, Tom. When I look back from that time, 1998, up to now, which is 25 years ago, Kenya is better than the day that attack took place. Why am I saying this? I'm saying this because of the different kind of improvements that have taken place, right from policy, security enhancement, the modernization of our security regime and architecture, among others, including also making the society or the public appreciate that this threat is real. Through our programs, sensitization on countering violent extremism, having partnership, collaborating with both internal and external partners in this fight.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
When you talk about partners, I was looking at the Cambodia case, where we had the UN deploy. And it took them about 4 years,
yes,
to identify the pain points and, resolve and exit. So when you're talking about partnership with international organizations, how important is the exit matrix, for example? Because we are seeing across in Somalia, a lot of people are now saying 20 years on, where are the results? Is there an exit plan? Or how does that work for you as an expert in security? How important is it to factor that in, an exit strategy?
Yes, when it comes to the issue of exit strategy, each and every organization that gets into something has exit plan. And this exit plan is determined by so many factors, among them time frame, because you need to set a time frame. But when you get in, maybe there could be some complications that may lead to the extension of that time frame. And as we discuss about this exit strategy, and you've given us a comparative analysis of Cambodia and what is happening now in Somalia, across here.
Yeah.
Remember, the Al-Shabaab is domiciled in Somalia. Kenya, as we speak, has no what we call domestic terrorism. We are affected by international terrorism. Remember the Al-Qaeda which did the attack in 1998, and now these attacks that we are facing are attacks that are being launched and mounted from outside, and the fighters or attackers just come to Kenya to fulfill that mission in one way or another, if they are not detected, deterred, or disrupted.
So in the face of those kind of threats, how can citizens, because you talked about citizens, how can they contribute to enhancing their own security? Because you remember we also had reports that came from Lamu that, the remnants of Al-Shabaab who were part of that attack where we lost 2 people. So how can citizens, be made to also play a role in ensuring their own security?
Citizens or citizenry is a very critical mass when it comes to issues concerning security and developments, not only security, but also development. So citizen or the citizens are very important. In which way? One, in information sharing. The citizens have a role in ensuring that there is information sharing. And this information has to be shared to the relevant authorities.
Yeah.
And we know who the relevant authorities are. Like the police, village elders also, among others. For example, buying the model of Nyumba Kumi initiative that can play that critical role.
Yeah.
So citizens can do that. There is what we call the tragedy of lack of information sharing. And if that tragedy of lack of information sharing suffices, then it means that our society will be dangerously put in a state that will affect our security.
Okay. I want you to say something on cyber terrorism. Okay, what others call online radicalization. Is that a fresh frontier of extremism, and how do you mitigate that?
Absolutely, Tom. That is a fresh frontier of radicalization, whereby radicalizers craft messaging. They come up with messages which are compelling, messages which are highly captivating to ensure that they get into the minds and hearts of the young, vulnerable generation that can easily be manipulated. And therefore, this frontier is critical. And it's critical in such a manner that their information can easily be passed from one person to another, either covertly or overtly. They can use clandestine ways, including getting into the dark and deep web, to ensure that the information that they are sharing goes to their target group. Remember, this technology is now becoming commonplace. For example, what you have like your phone. Your phone is one powerful technology that has everything that you want to get. In fact, we call some of the applications by Google and wherever, internet browser, by Professor Google.
Yeah.
Professor Google can give you anything that you want to get from
anywhere,
yeah, including what is not seen. Okay. Yeah. So this technology is one, important, as well as dangerous, and depending on the use of this technology. And that is why we advise on what we call prudent use or utility of technological gadgets, be it the software or the hardware.
Yes. And that sounds like it could fall under the cluster of emerging trends. So, in addition, what other new tactics do you think that terrorists are employing that we need to be aware of and, consequently prepare for?
Yes, other than the use of technology, and technology can even be the rudimentary technology. The basic ones, like issues of IDs. The use of IDs is technological, even if it is that basic. That is why, in most cases, terrorists, because of their numbers, would always want to minimize their casualties. And by minimizing the casualties, they go in directions or in trajectories that will enable them to reduce their casualties so that they can keep their numbers.
Yeah.
So when you hear cases of ID explosion, an ID attack, among other things, it's one way of trying to minimize. So one of the technologies is the use of IDs, so that they can reduce their casualties, and maximize the casualties of innocent people or Kenyans, or even those that they are targeting to attack. Yes.
Okay, so we have seen cases where counter-terrorism measures, infringe on human rights. Okay, we have seen reports all over. So how do you strike a balance between the work on security and freedoms of the citizens in general?
Thank you. That's a very critical question that requires a lot of analysis. In statutes, in our constitution, and also in Universal Declaration of Human Rights, we have freedoms and rights. Some are inherent, which cannot be taken away, and some can be limited for particular reasons. For example, if we say that we curtail the movement or the freedom of movement of a suspect or a convict, are we in any way curtailing, or are we in any way removing the human rights from them? We say no. So some of these statutes are put in operation because they are supposed to guide. And one of the critical issues that we need to look at is what is the common good? And the common good to who? Remember, you have your rights, I have my rights. When you come or you surpass the red line, then already you'll be infringing into my rights. But when the way these rights are supposed to be moderated in terms of who are you, what have you done, and what is it to the public.
Okay.
Then there is a way that this is sanctioned in a certain way by the law.
Okay.
And the law can guide us on how to go about that.
On how to deal with that.
Yes.
I want to thank you so much. Where my rights end is where your rights begin.
Yes, absolutely.
Dr. Peter Cheboy, Security and Policy Analyst from the National Counterterrorism Center.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for finding time to come and be with us. We have to bring it to an end.
Yes.
And I want to also thank you for watching on behalf of the indomitable team, Prime Edition team in the back end. We will be back here again tomorrow. My name is Tom Boya from Nairobi, Kenya, bidding you good night and God bless you.